Welcome to the City. I'm Anthony Wilson, the Public Information Officer for the City of San Angelo. And joining us today is Jeremy Miller. He is our Contract Manager for the City of San Angelo. Jeremy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you were recently promoted from the city's budget office to manage the contract that the city has with Republic Services, which is our contracted trash collector and operator of the landfill. Talk a little bit about what your job entails.
Just like you mentioned, that we have two contracts the city has with Republic Services, one for the collection of the waste and the other for managing the city's landfill. So the main focus on that is just to make sure that the citizens of San Angelo receive the level of service that the contracts afford them, and that the needs are being met, and that everything is in working order as far as that passion goes.
Well, and I was going to ask you what your priorities are in managing those contracts and how you spend the bulk of your time.
Well, currently, that is the main focus, is to make sure that everything in the contract is being adhered to, and that the things that are provided to the citizens are being answered. And currently, we're in a time of transition, with the new services being implemented, so it's a little different time. So most of my time lately has been spent on, educating the citizens on the new collection service, answering any questions and concerns, conducting site visits, making sure everybody's comfortable and knows what's going on and what's expected of them, and just following up on any issues that come up.
Now, you were very well established in the budget office. What interested you about this particular job?
Well, I've been with the city for a couple of years now, and I've kind of embraced the idea of being a public servant. And in the previous role I had in the finance department was more of a internal support role for the departments of the city. So big picture, I was able to serve the citizens, but when this opportunity came open, it seemed like a good fit for me to have more of a direct impact on the citizens, and be able to serve a little bit better, and be a little bit rewarded for myself at the end of the day, and make sure I have more of a direct impact on things.
Now, obviously, you're taking this job at a time that's very eventful in solid waste services for the city of San Angelo, with the transition to the new garbage collection services. So what role have you played in transitioning from the former system of collection to the current system?
Well, you're right. As you mentioned, there's been some controversy and quite the change for the residents. The service that was previously instituted had been there for over 30 years. So overnight we changed the attitudes and the lives of 100,000 people in town. So there's been a lot of just walking people through the changes, and it's been a big education process, conducting town hall meetings, answering phone calls, responding to concerns and complaints and things, and mainly just, walking people through the process. And, the way things kind of went down with the new contract, a lot of people felt like they didn't have a voice that was heard. So I've, filled a lot of phone calls to that, kind of giving the people the avenue to voice their concerns, and allowed me the opportunity to kind of explain things and kind of smooth some of the positions out between us and the city, and just kind of make sure everybody's on the same page, and that we can hopefully get things going forward, and get things running smoothly like they should be.
Now, with the questions about garbage collection, what are the most common concerns that you're hearing from citizens?
Well, initially, like I mentioned, it's a big change. So the main concern has been, why do we go from alley pickup to curbside pickup? And also, where can I place my cars, the correct location of them. So there's been a lot of concerns regarding that, and that's the main change that's been happening.
So how do you explain that to people? How do you explain why their service may have gone from being alley pickup to curbside pickup?
Well, there were several factors, with the new contract we negotiated. The main thing, moving from alleyways to curbside, was to necessitate the best rate possible for the citizens of San Angelo. The contract that we'd had for a while had expired, and the type of service that we had was a very expensive service, and was going to increase the rate quite a bit if we were to keep up with that. So we had to make a decision for the city as a whole to to best accommodate everyone, and the type of collection that was available was moving to the curbside. So I just had to explain that's one of the main reasons why we did that, and then also the new equipment that's required for that type of collection. The alleyways are not best suited for those. So it was more advantageous to have it out on the streets.
And that is, they have hydraulic arms that pick up bins from the side and empty them into the truck, and then that bin in the front of the truck empties into the back of the truck at some point. And some of those alleys may not have the side or overhead clearances to accommodate that.
Sure. Yeah, the newer trucks are a little bit taller than the older manual style trucks that were used. And like you mentioned, there's a hydraulic arm that comes out about 4 to 5 feet. So there's width issues and height issues, as well as, the alleys are not designed for heavy truck traffic. So there was a lot of damage done, over the years with trucks going up and down the alleys. So there was a lot of tax dollars spent on maintaining those alleys. And with the new system, we can alleviate a lot of that.
You mentioned that the prior service was expensive. Is that because you had 3 men on each truck?
Sure. Yeah, there's the driver, and then there were 2 men on the back that would load the trash in. So it was more of a manual system, which you have increased costs with employees, and then injuries and things like that. It was definitely not a safe situation for those employees. So.
What are you seeing from Republic Services in regards to their responsiveness to customers' concerns?
Republic, has been great. There's been a lot of controversy and issues going on with the citizens, just how the whole thing went down. But working with them one-on-one on a daily basis, they've been very responsive to any needs I brought to their attention. They've showed a willingness to want to educate, conducting town hall meetings and doing site visits, one-on-one with citizens, addressing their concerns and explaining how the service works. And they're committed. They're part of this community, and they live here and they work here, and they've invested a lot, and want to see the long-term success of this program, just as we do. So.
Of course, a transition this large, you expect there are going to be some kinks, and there have been. What's your expectation as far as when we're going to see service that is that minimizes the number of glitches that people may be experiencing right now?
Yeah. Well, you're right. There's a lot of moving parts that are new to the citizens and new to Republic as well. Their employees, new equipment, new routes, and things like that. So there have been some issues, but overall, as time goes on, it should be smoothed out, and I would say within the next couple of months, things should be running seamlessly.
Are you seeing strides being made in that regard as far as the number of issues sort of being minimized on a daily or weekly basis?
Absolutely. The service went live on July 20th, so we've been in it for about a month now, a little over 4 weeks, and the initial complaint volume was rather high, on Republic side and on the city side. There was a lot of missed pickups and issues, with citizens not realizing when their collection day were, or correct placement of the carts, and drivers, not knowing their routes. But over the last 4 weeks, it's definitely improved immensely. The call volume has been reduced drastically, and the number of missed pickups has been down. So I see, in the next few weeks, things you're really getting even that much more better as time goes on. So.
You mentioned about cart placement, and I think that's a critical ingredient to making this work. How should people be placing their carts along their curbsides?
Well, the carts should be placed, with the wheels up against the curb, pointed towards the house. You need to be at least 5 feet away from any objects, fences or cars, and at least 3 feet between the carts. That'll allow enough space for the driver to pull in, and have the mechanical arm come out and grab the cart. So 5 feet between the objects and 3 feet between the carts.
The contract contains a financial incentive for people to use the curbside recycling, use their green bin. Explain what that financial incentive is and why it's there.
Well, the incentive is, there's costs associated with the recycling program as far as Butts Recycling, who is partnering with the Republic to handle all the bulk materials that's coming to them. They had to expand their facilities and hire new employees and equipment and things like that to handle the mass quantity of recyclables that's going to be coming in. So in order to maintain that and make it worthwhile to sustain the program, they need a certain level or a bulk amount of recyclables to kind of break even, to make sure they can handle that. And that amounts 500 tons a month. So as long as the city can generate 500 tons a month, then there'll be no issues. If we're not getting the participation that we need, and we're receiving less than 500 tons, then there is a possibility of adding 50 cents a month to the utility bill, which is just a pass-through to Butts Recycling to help sustain them, to pay for their employees that they have, and just to keep the program rolling smoothly.
How well have we been recycling to date?
The initial response has been very overwhelming, been very good. However, it is early on, so we can't really get a clear picture of how it's going to go. But the first month or so has been if it's an indication of how it's going to go, it should be a very successful program.
Of course, one of the items that is not being recycled right now is glass. Explain why that is, and do you know of any future plans to accept glass as a recyclable?
There are no immediate plans for glass. However, that's something that the city and Republic would like to implement in the future. The main reason why we don't accept it now is the recycling facility is a manual facility. They have people that are hand sorting the materials. So it's a safety issue as far as having broken glass in there and people getting cut. So it's not really a way we can recycle it at the moment. And there are also, some challenges to recycling glass as opposed to paper or plastic. There's not a mass end user as there is for those goods. So in order to be able to recycle those, like such in larger cities, where they do accept glass, they have larger regional recycling facilities that have automated equipment, and they have a lot more bulk, which is what you need to be able to get it to an end user and make it cost prohibitive. We can kind of break even on it. As it is now, if you just do it on a small basis, it ends up costing money to recycle it. So in the future, we hope that, San Angelo has been a pioneer as far as, bringing recycling to West Texas, and we hope that our surrounding cities and sister cities will come on board in the future and necessitate, maybe having a regional facility out in this area that would allow us to accept some glass.
One of the concerns that we've heard is that the bins are difficult to move for those who are elderly or disabled. Talk about what's available to help those customers.
Sure. One of the most critical aspects of the new service is the needs assistance collection that Republic Services provides. And anyone who's disabled or is unable to move the carts can apply for a disability exemption, and that will allow them to keep the carts up close to their home in a convenient location for them. And then they'll be able to, the driver will get out of the truck and move the carts and service them and place them back up to the house for them.
And if someone wants more capacity than the 200 combined gallons that the bins provide now, how can they go about getting additional carts?
You can request additional carts by going to the city's website and looking at the solid waste page. There's an additional cart request form there, or you can also visit the city water utility billing office and request additional carts.
Only have a few seconds left. If people have questions about their service, how can they contact Republic Services? How can they contact you?
Republic Services customer service, they can contact at 481-7700, or they can contact me at 486-3798, or at jeremy.miller@cosatx.us.
We've been talking with Jeremy Miller. He is the contract manager for the City of San Angelo, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Danny Goki in San Angelo, Texas. And you know what? We're excited to be here at Stripes River Fest 2015. See ya.
Here we are in the middle of probably the worst drought we've seen in hundreds of years, and still he's got the most beautiful lilies in the world right here for us to look at. It's amazing.
Great deal that the city puts it on. I mean, Amarillo or in the barns and stuff like that in a local deal, but this is neat that the city has something like that. It's very neat.
Take a picture with you?
Nice to be held before. Get around here.
Welcome back. We are joined now by Dave Erickson. Dave is the director of the Small Business Development Center, which is affiliated with Angelo State University. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for having me here.
So the SBDC, as it's known,
right.
Tell us what the SBDC is and the sort of services that you offer there.
Well, like to call it the ASU Small Business Development Center, in SBDC for short, as you mentioned. And our services are varied, and really there's two main services we provide. First of all, we have advising, which is one-on-one, confidential, business technical advising. And we do that in our office or at the client's place of business. And we work with existing businesses, or we work with people that want to start a business. And again, it's free and confidential. We serve about 500 people a year in that area. And also we serve a 10-county area, so we do travel out to the rural areas. And the other part that we do is technical business training. And we have many, many workshops, seminars, and events that tackle technical business issues. And again, those are open to anyone that wants to attend. And there's probably 100 of those that we do per year. And then also many, many varied topics. As on the advising side, we cover many business topics.
And one of those topics, of course, is how to craft a business plan, which is the reason that we're here talking today. You help entrepreneurs develop their plans for their businesses. Tell us what a business plan is and what does it consist of?
Well, a business plan really, in essence, is a roadmap on how to start or expand a business. And there's many components to that roadmap, or a blueprint, if you will, on how to start or expand. Basically, we start out describing the business they want to start, talk about the products and services that they want to use in their business. They talk about the market that they're going to sell to, and how they segment the market into various customers, customer profiles. And then how to attack that market, meaning how to sell to it, and all those components. And then the all-important management structure, who's going to run the business? And that's discussed in the business plan too. And then, of course, most importantly is the financial projections, taking the narrative of the business plan I just described and transforming that into the numbers, projecting those numbers, and those are very important. And the two have to match, and the two have to make sense together. What's in the narrative needs to match what the financial projections are. And for lenders, if you're looking at a business plan to seek a loan to start a business, or with an investor to provide equity to start the business, they really focus on the numbers. The numbers in the financial section, and also the management structure. The old saying in this world is bankers lend money to people, not businesses, and investors invest in people, not businesses. Again, showing the importance of the management part.
So, especially for an entrepreneur who's starting up a new venture, why is a business plan critical?
Well, it's critical because most times their ideas in their head, but once you take those thoughts and put it on paper, it looks different. And it really helps you through the process. There's a lot of research and analyzing that goes on. And they learn a lot about what they want to do just by taking it from their head and putting it on paper and looking at it and having other people help them through it. That's the real value. The planning process is the value. Maybe not so much the actual plan on paper they come up with, because plans change. And the old saying is, no business plan is the first customer contact. The business plan is going to change. It's a good way of saying it, I guess, because of the fact that things change in this world. But that planning process, what they've learned, really helps them start the business.
So the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is one of the economic development partners along with the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, which administers our half-cent sales tax, and the Business Factory, which is our business incubator. And together, those entities are resurrecting a business plan competition. Tell us why this is a program that the City of San Angelo Development Corporation in particular really wanted to relaunch.
Well, the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, since the inception of the Business Incubator in 2003, has always provided funding for the business plan competition, which started in 2004. And it ran continuously for a number of years until 2009 when it went dormant. And so we, as a group, we wanted to resurrect the business plan competition because of the interest in entrepreneurship, because of the interest in developing economic area, developing economic development in the area, and also to foster the good feelings and positive business environment. So all those reasons we wanted to resurrect it, and we thought the timing was great to do that.
So to whom is the competition open?
It is open to anybody who wants to start a business, start a venture. Also, it could be an existing business owner who wants to start another entity, not wrapped up in their current business, but a separate entity. So as we have planned this competition, we want it open to both.
So, but it's in particular to new ventures, not an existing business that
Right.
may be looking to craft or change a business plan.
That's correct. What we want to do is maybe next year is open it up to existing businesses. And so, but this one we wanted to focus on new ventures.
Now, how does someone go about entering the business plan competition?
Well, we're looking at starting the competition October 1st, if all goes well, and we're still working on the guidelines in order for the competition. So when the kickoff happens October 1st, the guidelines will be available on the website in various places, and they can look at those guidelines, and then they'll have a 4-month period to develop their business overview, we call it, and that's the first phase of the competition. And they will submit their entry then by February 2nd, which would be the entry date for the competition, the deadline.
Will there be any cost to enter the competition?
Yes, so it's free to enter phase 1, which is the pre-entry phase, the business overview phase, but those who are chosen to move forward to phase 2, there'll be a $50 entry fee.
And for those who are the winners of the competition, what will they receive as a result of that?
Right. Well, there's first and second place winners. If the judging panel who will be deciding that, if they see fit to award first and second place, or first or second place, the first place winner will receive $15,000 cash grant from COSADC, and there will be a grant agreement written between the two parties. Second place is $10,000 cash grant. Now, both winners will receive around $5,000 worth of in-kind prizes from various service providers in the area, like help from an attorney, help from a CPA firm, and help from a marketing firm, things like that. That's not cast in stone yet. We're still working on that, but that's what we envision.
So if someone has an idea in their head for starting a new business, and they're interested in perhaps entering the business competition but have no idea sort of where to begin or what to do, is there assistance that they can seek from the Small Business Development Center?
There is. We can assist them at the Small Business Development Center with developing their business plan. We can talk them through the business overview and the competition, as can the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. And we're both located in the BRC, the Business Resource Center.
Which is downtown.
Just downtown, you bet.
So tell us again, when will the winners be announced?
We're looking at announcing the winners. Hopefully we have winners, and we're looking at announcing them April 27th at the City of San Angelo Development Corporation regular meeting in April.
And you've had, as you said, these competitions in the past. Do you foresee perhaps someone sort of really launching a successful venture as a result of this this competition?
Yes, we do, and that is obviously the hope, that we do that. And in the past, we have seen people that have opened their business and done well, and that is our hope, and we surely envision that. And one component I wanted to mention on this year is a little different. We're bringing in the College of Business, ASU College of Business, a student team to help us work with the clients. Help from the SBDC in the ASU College of Business is not mandatory to develop their business plans, but it's encouraged. And so we're bringing in the College of Business to help that effort for the first time, get ASU involved.
And what sort of assistance will they be providing?
Just help the SBDC advisor work with the clients on developing their business plan or business overview, which is first. That assistance.
You work with a lot of different clients who start off in the process just having an idea, and then they craft it into a business plan, and then launch their venture. What are some of the sort of the areas that you've seen people launch businesses in that have proven to be really successful?
Oh gosh, it's so varied. I've been doing this for 16 years, and so varied. Obviously, this is a service economy that we have here. So most of the businesses we work with are service businesses. There have been some manufacturing businesses we've helped with, and a few tech businesses get started. So it's very varied. You know, obviously we help our share of restaurants get started in San Angelo, and other service providers, and it's so across the board. It's hard for me to think of a few right now even, but and then again, as I mentioned, some manufacturing businesses. And that is really across not only San Angelo, but across the Concho Valley where we serve.
What's the biggest challenge that someone will face in crafting their business plan?
Actually writing it is sometimes the biggest challenge. Most people have some difficulty putting their thoughts down on paper. That's an area that we can help them work it through. The other part is developing the financial projections. Most people aren't real adept at that. Again, we can teach them and coach them in that in the system and putting those down. Obviously, they're experts in their business and the product or service they provide. That's not a challenge. It's just getting down on paper and then working with the financials.
And is there a typical business plan as far as length or how much time it takes to develop one?
Good question. It depends on the complexity of the business plan. Sometimes they can take a few weeks up to a month, depending on how hard the client works on the business plan and then how complex it is. But as far as the length goes, really a 15 to 20 page business plan is all that's necessary. The lenders and investors aren't looking for a book. They're looking for a concise plan that discusses what it needs to discuss. And so as far as the length of it there's just a lot of thought and analysis put into those 15 to 20 pages.
And again, the business plan competition, the entry period will begin October the 1st. If people want more information about the competition itself or about the services that you're offering at the SBDC, what are some good ways for them to go about getting that info?
You bet. As far as the competition goes, you can contact us or the City of San Angelo Development Corporation. In COSA-DC is 653-7197, their phone number. As far as the SBDC, our phone number is 942-2098, or they can contact us at sbdc@angelo.edu. And either one of us would be happy to help with the competition.
We've been talking with Dave Erickson. He is the director of the Small Business Development Center, and we hope you'll join us for the next episode of The City.